Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the Professor, and this is the Moment of Truth. Herschel Walker. Talk about the gift that keeps on giving, laughs, and keeps on taking more of our valuable time. But the reason that Herschel Walker is a perennial punching bag by the white media is largely because of the fact that he's black. Now, when it comes to people in D.C., especially in Congress, who happen to be not so very bright, the white media is certainly not lacking in individuals that they could single out for ridicule. But do you notice that whether it's a Marjorie Taylor Greene, or a Lauren Boebert, or a Lumi Gohmert, or whether it's a John Kennedy, or even a Donald Trump, you notice that with the white politicians, those guys will get singled out either as dishonest or mendacious for what they say. But the white media does not make it a point to hold up any of those white politicians as being just a paragon, being a prime example of somebody who is simply too stupid, too intellectually feeble to be in Congress. They don't do that with white politicians. With the black ones, though, they'll make it very clear. Well, these guys, they're just too stupid to even be. It's laughable that they should even be running. Isn't it obvious these people are just too stupid? This candidate's too dumb. They do that with the black ones. Now, this is not a defense of Herschel Walker. I could care less about Herschel Walker. But what I need is for you to understand why it is that the white media likes to single him out in particular. This is not to say that he's some sort of unknown genius. Obviously, the guy doesn't have the sense that God gave a cantaloupe. But it is to say, don't think that this is just honest, unbiased reportage. That it is not. Now, for this latest hiding of Mr. Walker goes, as with so many things with the white media, they get some black bootlick shill who's the person who they hide behind to say the stuff that they can't, so they can try to use it as some sort of launch pad for the discussion. Well, why we wouldn't even be dogging out this dumb Negro over here if it wasn't for this black guy. So that's where Jelani Cobb comes in. He's going to be their crash dummy, and that's fine. But Herschel Walker, regardless of what their little article, or rather the media piece on MSNBC says, Herschel Walker is funny. He's hilarious. In fact, that's the entire point. As I've long taught you, white power loves a cruel joke, especially one that takes a long time to pay off. And it is true that Herschel Walker is definitely a joke. I mean, the freaking memes and insults practically write themselves, but I can't help but notice that just about everything you can say about Herschel Walker, short of his complete inability to be articulate, you could say double for Rafael Warnock. What makes someone a useful idiot isn't whether they're monosyllabic or not. An eloquent fool is still just as stupid. It may take a little longer for people to figure out that a well-spoken moron doesn't have the sense that God gave a coconut. But when people finally do figure out that fact, they'll dismiss the eloquent fool as the fool he is. Just look at Sam Harris or Jordan Peterson if you want two examples of that principle. Herschel Walker has no ideas. That's one of the criticisms that's leveled at him. At least that's one of the more polite criticisms leveled at him. Not that he would be capable of expressing any ideas even if he did have them, but you know what? Neither does Rafael Warnock. He has no ideas. This is not a man who's put forward any sort of great principles or any sort of great proposals. Jelani Cobb makes a big deal out of mocking Herschel Walker as having no qualifications other than that he was a football player for the University of Georgia back in the day. But doesn't the same apply to Rafael Warnock in a different way? The only qualification that Rafael Warnock has, in fact, the only thing that anybody can even say about him, is that he's pastor of the same church that Dr. King presided over 50 years ago. That's been his claim to fame. That's been his ticket to ride. It's about the only thing that the white media can say about him. Ebenezer Baptist Church, whatever the heck the name of it is, Dr. King was pastor there, and now Rafael Warnock is. Well, can you tell us anything else about him? Well, he's almost as good with the soaring rhetoric as King was. That's basically what they say. That's pretty much it. If the biggest complaint that you've got about Herschel Walker is that he's nothing more than an empty-headed, shameless mouthpiece for the white right, then please tell me what, if anything, Rafael Warnock has proposed to do. What independence of thought has he ever shown? What legislation has Rafael Warnock put forward as a senator? What ideas has he put forward? Warnock is a complete meat puppet for the Democrats. The few times that he's spoken, it's been just to parrot and regurgitate whatever the popular issue du jour is from the Democratic slate for that news cycle. On the issues that matter to the white left, Rafael Warnock is passionate and strident. Apparently, that's the definition of eloquent and articulate for the white media. On the other hand, when it comes to issues regarding black folks, well, not so much. Herschel Walker isn't articulate with his gibberish, but so what? Articulate gibberish isn't any less stupid. It's called baffling someone with BS. But if the white media goes ahead and gives you this coverage and tries to gild the lily as if, oh, well, Warnock, he's just so articulate as compared to this dumb Walker guy, well, some folks will go for it. But the point of today's moment of truth is that this malady isn't just limited to Herschel Walker. From John Lewis to Benjamin Crump, white power loves a dumb Negro. And keep in mind, the Herschel Walkers and the Rafael Warnocks, they play the same game that a lot of black folks like to play. They make it a point where they're going to be suitably dumbed down for whomever the white power broker is that they're trying to ingratiate themselves with. And, for a time, the white powers that be will pretend to play along. Sure, Rafael Warnock's an idiot, but he's our idiot. And the white media wants us to cheer that. A man who's done nothing and says nothing about our interest, a man who doesn't use his position to get things. At least Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema are doing that. You can't just walk up to Joe Manchin on a vote. He knows what his interests are. And Kristen Sinema, same thing. Those two, they know that their votes make the difference between a law getting passed and it not passing. And they want to know what they're going to get. Rafael Warnock doesn't even have the nerve to stand up for black people, to say a word about us. He says nothing about our interests, nothing about reparations, nothing about tangibles, nothing about punishing the police. I can't think of anything that sounds dumber than that. But this disease of willful stupidity extends beyond political whores like Warnock and Walker. Black folks in general have long thought that they could take refuge in being seen as stupid, that this was some sort of safe space for us because we could be seen as unthreatening, or so we hoped. Same way that so many black folks thought there was safety in being the po folks. After all, as long as we're not challenging the dominant society for resources, as long as we're not seen as threatening their comfort and wealth, they'll just leave us alone, right? Black folks tried that and found out that indigence is no shield against genocide, and a poverty of intelligence will not make you any safer than a poverty of money. Some people think being dumb is camouflage, but it's not. In fact, it's the opposite. It paints a bullseye on you. It marks you as an easy target. Resources, intelligence, these are things that let the white supremacists know you're not an easy target. But you have to be willing to be unpopular with the dominant society, and that seems to be where a lot of black folks have their issues. Dumb, pliant Negroes will be wholeheartedly embraced by the white left or the white right, and they'll be given some safe place under white supremacy, at least for a little while. But it never lasts. White supremacy's waging war on us, and in war the one thing you can't afford is to be willfully stupid. While Herschel Walker deserves the scorn and vitriol that he's received, make no mistake, Walker and Warnock are distinctions without a difference. The white media knows that, and the white left doesn't care about the difference, but you're supposed to care. Because if you don't, then the real idiot won't be Walker or Warnock. It will be you. Good day, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors. Tyrone Lewis, Loke Thies, Eddie Newsom, Mouse, and Earth Angel. Salute to them and thank you to everyone for listening, liking, and sharing this message. Black empowerment only exists because of you.